Hello, welcome to Line War. Today we have Safwan, who is right up here in the top of the corner. He's gone heavily into eco. And we got Afina, who is somewhere else, right in the middle of the map. So Afina is going to have map control here, because they are right in the middle. They're going to cut off Safwan about here quite easily, unless Safwan can push through. Now, Afina does have control, or will have control, over these eco trade routes here. But Safwan does have these two here, but he does need to control this to utilize the trade routes. And this is a subscriber replay, so these people have, or Safwan I believe, uploaded it to my Discord or sent the replay through there. If you want your replay seen here as well, then feel free to upload your replays there too. I'll have a look and see what I think. So we've got heavily eco, we've got 2 factories being produced and a barracks. And from Afina, he's gone 2 airfields, 1 factory and a barracks. And then can still go into more right now, but probably going to need some energy, which they have here, but that's in a risky zone without him realizing. I don't see any other easy energy wells for them to utilize in this game over here, because obviously Afina, if they go for this spot here, which might be what they're doing with saving up that economy, but we don't know yet. Otherwise, it's in the water where the energy is, but that's going to be contested very quickly. So Safwan is moving out with a force. And although despite being in the corner might seem like a bad idea, going into eco first and trying to utilize the extra economy that way, you've got most of your forces coming down in one straight line, and Safwan does know about Afina right now. Doesn't have to worry about too much to look at, so he's probably seen this straight away. Afina, on the other hand, has no idea until just now that Safwan's there. There you go, they're sending their helicopters up over this way. The energy well was produced there like I thought, which is unfortunate for Afina because they have to defend this area quite rapidly now. And they're planning to use the helicopters to do so. Afina does not yet know that they've gone into artillery. And has Safwan changed anything up? Nope, he's confident with what he's doing. He's got 1 snaking around here. Whereas Afina is still trying to use the helicopters. Going to move him a bit further, which is out of range of these helicopter pads, I think. These airfields. Because I think the helicopters probably go about this range. Maybe, but helicopters don't need that sort of range. They work a bit differently. Maybe I should do a command school video on that and see what their range actually is. Let me know if you want to see that in the comments. They're going for a defensive line here, so I think, although defense is actually quite good, but if Safwan realizes it's a defense, he could go round and hit the side. Which would probably be the best bet right now. Or to be fair, even hitting directly at the front, because they've only just built it, which means they'll have less health. But he does have 4 helicopters to deal with as well. Has he switched into SAM units? He has got 1 SAM production there. One SAM unit there, 2 SAM being produced, going into more factories. So what is Afina doing elsewise? Not worried too much, building a power plant. So Afina is expecting to lose this energy well. So he's going to try and back it up with some power plants, while still not forgetting to expand. So I think Afina is accepting the fact that they're going to be losing this area and having to push back a bit later, but is trying to hold out as long as possible and keep that area for as long as possible without losing too much. And right now those helicopters are getting some free hits in, but it won't be long until that SAM unit gets there and we'll be able to do some damage. But those helicopters, if they target that SAM, they'll probably be able to take it out, especially as they're coming in one at a time. But those helicopters won't be able to deal with all the ground units here as well, so Afina does have a bit of a problem on their hand, but it looks like they're backing up with it with the power plants here, so I think they're planning ahead quite nicely. That is a lot of helicopters, and if that goes down, they'll have no energy here. Unless that's been produced. Oh, it's been made now. That was good timing. Because if that hadn't been made, these would have landed here, and they wouldn't have been able to move. Which is kind of the case already. They need to build up some power soon. There we go, the power's in the green again. It's starting to be produced. These helicopters need to move away. because otherwise they're going to get targeted on the ground. And Safwan knows this because they're smoking black, which means they can't move and there's no energy. So Safwan's trying to move in on these helicopters and take them out as fast as he can, while they can't shoot back. The standing at the edge of the map seems to have been quite successful for Safwan right now because he was able to focus on certain things. And it looks like Safwan is probably going to keep trying to eco up in this game. He's going to probably build a docks here and eventually try and go around this way to collect this area and get the trade route up and running. Whereas Afina, I don't think worried too much about eco yet. I think they were relying on expanding for their eco gains, and they've forgotten this group of units down here. These could be expanding into some more areas, increasing their eco, which is something you really need right now. We've got a little sneak preview of artillery there for Afina. So she could have seen this thing, expecting them to be moving this way. What is Safwan actually doing? Also notice that these were arrow commands, now they're on haste and back to flags. When they're arrow commands, they'll ignore the territory and be able to get to those helicopters that were here faster. And now he's placed them into flag commands so they capture the ground as they go instead. Looks like these units are going to collide into some units down here in a bit. But at the minute, Safwan, I think he's building a city now. So Safwan's expecting this to be a fairly long game. Hoping that eco payoff will pay off in the end. Afina hasn't gone for any eco, so let's have a look at their economy right now. So we've got Afina with 464, mostly from territory. In fact, solely from territory. I don't think they've got any eco production up and running yet. And Safwan, mostly from buildings or eco structures, is at 551. And on production side of things, they have 5 production structures, and Afina has 5. But they're definitely set up very differently in this. So Afina's trying to push through there, but I think going to lose those units in the end. He's bringing them back. So they're coming back and they're going to be reinforced by these. Afina sent some units this way to try and capture the territory up here, which will be great in the long run. Because that's definitely somewhere Safwan's going to want to get in the end. So if they can defend that area, it will prevent Safwan from setting up a trade route. From Safwan's side of things, he's going to go full force with a very thick line here, going around and down here. They know they need to split up. He's got his SAM going this way, which is great because that's where the helicopters are, but that's not enough SAM to deal with that amount of helicopters. And Afina knows this, I think, because they're sending them in. There we go, that SAM unit's pretty much down already. And another one goes down before this one can just about get into the game, and now they're tagging the infantry. Those SAM units, that SAM unit is probably going to do a lot more damage than the other two. There we go, so Afina is sending some commandos up here to try and get some sneaky units behind front lines. If nothing else, they're going to reveal the units that are actually moving around in this area. Afina wants her helis, his helis there. I'm not sure if that was a misclick. It probably was. They've deleted it now. Got 2 power plants up and running now. They're more costly than the energy wells, but you can put them anywhere you want, so they probably are worth it in this situation. Right, Afina has increased production here. They've got a factory being produced. And they've forgotten about these units still, which would be very useful either on the front line or to take this territory. Whereas Safwan has not increased too much on production, but it's definitely going full force into eco. He's got the docks up and running, another town, the city's up and running now. And he's taking control pretty much of the area that Afina was worried to lose at this point. He's playing a bit more riskier now. He's got a factory on the front line here, right at the where the fighting is, which means it won't take so long to reinforce himself now. Or at least when it's finished producing, that is. I think Afina is struggling a bit with energy, but they're trying to solve it with some more power plants. Which is definitely taking a toll on the eco in this game for them. Because that money could have been spent on more production, on barracks, factories, or airfields, or whatever you wanted. So it is taking a toll on that. And I think that Safwan, even if you don't consider how much eco they're producing, Safwan has spent the money on increasing their production, whereas Afina has had to spend extra money on trying to increase the energy. Which is something Safwan doesn't have to worry about at this point. He has no energy requiring units. No air units at all, no tanks, no sea units, so they don't even need to worry about energy. We got Afina desperately trying to control this choke point here. They don't want them to get through here. And Afina has, just in case, got some SAM units. Worried about potential air units being produced now. Which is unfortunate because Safwan hasn't gone into air units. And from Safwan's side of from Afina's side of things, still producing a lot of helicopters, and I think these helicopters might actually be able to push them back, especially when focused in one area of the map. Safwan decided to go up here and try and go round, and it looks like Afina was able to hold this area by hiding in the mountain. Can Safwan even see them? He can. He spots them but leaves them anyway. I don't think he's actually noticed his units are just avoiding them. There we go, he spotted it now. He's gonna take them out in the mountains. But I think Afina is building up a large enough force here to be able to push back soon. All of these helicopters just sat on the floor right now. And it looks like Safwan's retreating, so he's given up in this location. He's going to build up his forces and probably try and return in a bit. He's also got a barracks in a risky location right on the front lines here, so that's going to try and help increase his territory capturing. And Afina has managed to grab a lot of the territory here and is making their way up there a bit more. Still forgotten about this area down here though from the beginning of the game. There we go, that Sam's going to go down as well. Afina's left this one black line here. I keep thinking it's Safwan's, but it's not. The commandos are pushing him through. Can they see him? Yeah, they can. But I don't think any of Afina's commandos have managed to break through, but they might be able to get some extra kills in. But they're not going to get through with the stealth because there's just too many units around the front line. But Safwan, on the other hand, has some commandos heading in for himself. It looks like these two have strayed off into this little area, trying to get captured by that line, that circle. Afina is moving their units in through this area. It's got the SAM at the side, either as a distraction or to stop any air units attacking. And we've got the artillery right through the middle. So Afina is definitely using their units in a much more controlled manner. And Safwan is just trying to balance out where units are going towards. Now I've just noticed something a little sneaky over here. We've got an energy well in the forest here, as well as a nuke silo being produced. With the eco that Safwan has, he's got the ability to use that as much as he wants, really. It might be wise to build a navy yard and try and get some transports to go across here or some other locations, try and sneak around a bit. And it looks like we've got an arrow command here, which should have been a flag command to capture these lines. I might have just noticed, so yeah, there we go. Right, so Afina has no idea what is in this forest awaiting for them. But it looks like they're bringing their helicopters around to the other side. So Afina realizes she's winning on the ground here, and there's a lot of SAM here, so instead, they're just going to push through the ground units, bring the air units around this side, and use them to defend on this side of the map. And Afina can see this barracks, obviously, because the commando got there earlier, so these helis could easily just get straight up there and destroy that structure, and maybe even this structure. But there are commandos on the ground already trying to sneak in. We saw them sneaking in earlier. The helicopters have spotted them, and they won't take long to take them out, but they did get one free kill on that helicopter. But they won't last long against this swarm of helicopters. There we go, so Afina has stopped those commandos, and up here it looks like these artillery might have a bit of trouble getting through all of this. Especially if Safwan uses them to just try and push through. Because I don't think Afina's got enough artillery in that location to be able to make a massive difference at this point. Taking a look at Safwan, he's still building that missile silo. And he doesn't have too many units across the board either. He's got a lot of units here, but they're mostly SAM, which is great against the helicopters that keep flying over, but it's not good enough to push through yet. So both players are just trying to hold back each other at this point, and they're just countering each other constantly, so... But in this situation, I think that Safwan has the advantage because of the eco that he's got in the north. So he's got 900 per minute. And Afina is at 500 per minute still, so this is definitely in favour of Safwan in the long run. Afina needs to end this match as soon as possible. But they have remembered these units down here now, but there's still an artillery just randomly placed there. These helicopters are coming over in this direction where there is very little anti-air to defend against them. And up here it looks like some more artillery has joined for Afina, and they're being able to push back Safwan just that little bit further. However, these helicopters, they're just too many in numbers for these 3 power plants that are fueling them right now. They can do a lot of damage when they fly, they just can't fly that often. And now that Safwan's seen them, these SAM units are going to come down this way instead and try and cut them off. There we go, but it looks like Afina has been thinned out a bit too much here. And if we have a look, they got any more coming in? They do. But it looks like Afina should probably pull back at this point. And then try and build up the numbers that way. Afina doesn't have enough energy really to utilise these helicopters right now, but that would be great if they could. That eco is in the negatives. So Afina just hasn't been able to keep up with Safwan's eco at this point. But they are doing a great job on the ground. So Safwan's rocket is not even being built yet because Safwan's in the negative too. So despite having 910 every minute, we've got 920 being spent every minute. But they're still working on it. They're building a docks over here, but he needs 500 to be able to start building this rocket. So I don't think this rocket is going to be that useful in this game. Might work out better a bit later. Always destroying some structures. I think that's partly to fund this and get more things going. On the front lines down in this area, Afina is trying to push through and get their units through Safwan's. But I don't think there's enough artillery on the ground. We've got a lot of infantry, but there's a lot of units here against them as well. The helicopters can't do too much in this area because there's a lot of SAM there that would take heavy losses, so the ground units are probably the best bet, particularly artillery. And Afina for now is just holding off the line until they can fix their economy, I think. They have managed to claim most of the territory here, but not all of it. Because they've used the arrow commands, I've just noticed. They walked through this way and didn't collect until they got to the end. I think Safwan's planning to try and push through in this direction. Yeah, they are. They're going to use the arrow commands with flag commands behind them, which is an absolute great way to try and attack and try and take the land behind you. Over in this direction, it looks like Safwan's pushed back a little and is building some more production structures here. Which I don't think they should really be doing. Even though they had the eco to build this, it's not going to start producing much because it just doesn't have the economy to produce any more units. Unless they're destroying stuff as they go, I don't really know. This just keeps changing. There we go. It's going to take a long time for that to build up to 500 for that rocket to be used, so I don't think we're going to see a rocket in play in this game. We have interceptors though. I don't know why Afina went for interceptors. That is definitely an interceptor, I think, not a striker. So, I'm not sure why they did that. I haven't seen any air units from Safwan. In fact, we can just simply check. There are no air units from Safwan, but Afina decided to go for some anti-air. I think that might have been trying to predict some air units. It just hasn't turned out well for them. There's a lot of forces coming through this choke point now. It looks like Safwan's eco advantage is paying off now and he's pushing through in this area. These artillery are going to be pretty hard to stop. Unless they have a nuke to use against them or are able to easily produce a lot of artillery. But Safwan's the one with a nuke and he's slowly building up the money to pay for one. But it's not happening anytime soon. Over in this direction, we've got another little battle which Afina may have the advantage in. I think Afina's might be able to push through here. There's not a lot of artillery, but I'm pretty sure Afina outnumbers Safwan there and is able, or has the advantage. These helicopters have come down to this side of the map. Afina is trying to use the helicopters for a great defense here, and it's working out well. These SAM units aren't great in number, but being distracted by these artillery, the SAM might have the ability to take them all out in the end. There's just too many helicopters to use here for long, so they're all going to fly there. They're going to fire a few, but once they land again, that might be it for a while. You know, the helicopters are trying to plow through that army, and Safwan knows that that is really detrimental to what to his setup here. So he's pulling back his units, trying not to lose as many. However, he can see that they've started smoking and that they just don't have the energy, so he might just try and push through now. They are coming back over here. What's going on here? It looks like Afina was able to stop any offensive units here, but has just decided to let Safwan live and grow in numbers once again. I think Afina wants to grow before they try and attack through this location. And it looks like Safwan's forces are coming back down again. Afina's sending in some infantry to their deaths, but probably just to slow down the artillery that come in here, because as the infantry go forward here, the artillery have to set up a deploy before they can move again. So it's a really good way to slow down your opponent. Over in this direction, Afina set up a nice little line here, and any units that come close are being fired up by multiple targets. So Afina's doing well at defending in this location. It's having a hard time defending in this location. And it's doing a great job doing it though. They're controlling their units really well. They're holding up a nice little defense. And you've got to remember, Afina is on 560 per minute, whereas Safwan is now at 900 per minute. That's nearly double, and Afina is still holding their own. Also has no energy, and a big part of their army is energy-based units. There we go. That's their energy. They're going to come in at the side. They're going to try and take out the SAM units, which probably I wouldn't worry about too much, because you don't have energy to use your helicopters that much anyway. So if you lose a couple of helicopters, it might make it easier to use anyway, so just start taking out the artillery. There we go. So Safwan is pushing through quite while here. And they're going to set up their artillery right here and being fired up by loads of them. I don't think they're even going to get a fire much, those frontline ones. But it is enough to push through there. And Safwan's showing off his might in the forest there, just building up a massive defensive line. It's not all about size, Safwan. It's the way you use it. So, it looks like this factory might come under fire very soon. I think Safwan is going to be able to have this game in the bag soon, and has actually started building that rocket, which is great. We might see this rocket fire before the end of the game. So Safwan can see this airfield over here, so that might be his next target. There we go. It doesn't look like his plans to have any more push through in this direction. They're just going to literally have a front line staring at each other, but this defensive line has been breached by Safwan, and he is destroying this factory, and it's gone down, which leaves this whole entire side of the map open from Afina. Even if Safwan didn't attack, he could go up this way and start collecting the territory, and even set up some eco routes. But for now, Safwan's going to have free reign over this direction of the map. And he's going to send them straight through. He's not worried about the airfields, to be fair. He's going to go around them, which isn't that problematic because it kind of makes sense. Because the air units haven't presented too much of a problem, especially with Afina's issue with energy. And Safwan can see the power plant there, so he knows exactly what Afina's relying on. And that would probably be the primary target instead of the airfields. There we go, I heard the buzz. We have the rocket coming in, that's why he was moving his units slightly out of the way. He's probably going to target this area. Afina's moving the helicopters out of the way. What can Afina see right now? Not much. So, that rocket's coming down right now, right on top of everything here, and you didn't let us see the nuke. Afina has ended the match, I think. That rocket is stuck in midair now. We're never going to see it explode. I'm sorry for the unsatisfying ending. Anyway, that was still a great game. I'm happy to see the way Afina was defending extremely well. The way Safwan used his eco to his advantage. And I'm not too happy about not seeing that rocket hit the ground. But anyway, there are 2 videos on screen right now. Let me know what you think, and I'll see you in one of them. See you around. Thanks for watching.